I'm Nikki and welcome to the Preppy Possum. Today I'm going to lead you step by step through a painting. Let's paint some hydrangeas in some flag ball jars. So let's start out with like a light blue. Let's draw them all on there with a light blue. So grab like a number 6, number 4, number 6, a good whatever size you like to draw with. And grab the really light, like a light blue, and now we're gonna do like, I think it looks cute to do 3 jars. So let's start kind of in the middle, jump up just a smidge from the bottom, and we're gonna do like a smiley. And then we're gonna do a smiley on either side. And then once you have your 3 smileys, then we're just gonna throw a little line straight up for like, it kind of depends on how big you wanna make your jars, but I would throw it up for at least 4 or 5 inches. Because I'm just probably gonna do like 1 bloom or something in each one. And then once you have that, we'll just do like a little whoop, just kind of whoop it in on both sides of your jar. Just kind of do a little whoop whoop and curve it in. And then we'll do a little wiggly line that kind of goes straight up. I'm trying to make sure I didn't, I'll probably make these a little bigger when I go and fill them in. But for right now, we're just kind of getting them on there. So a little wiggly line, just kind of giving the impression of the threads of the jar. And then we'll just do a little line that droops just a little right across the top. All right, so now we have kind of a rough sketch of our jars. So we'll wipe that one off and chunk it in the water and grab a huge brush. So grab like a 1 inch or something, and we'll just grab more of our background color, which I'm doing light blue, but you can do whatever. And I'm just gonna throw a thin layer like through my whole background. And we can always come back and like thicken it up around our jars and our flowers, so I wouldn't worry about like, you know, how thick you get it, because we can come back and thicken it up around everything. But since we drew them on there with the light blue, we can just kind of take this all the way up next to it. So if you did want to do a different color background, you could, you know, draw your jars on there with a different color. I just thought the light blue kind of complements the red, white, and blue. Getting crazy with the paint, throwing it everywhere. Okay, so I definitely made these a little bit smaller. I ate away at them, so when we come back and fill them in, we can make them a little bigger. All right, so we got a layer on our background. So we'll wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's grab like a number 6 again and dry it off. And now we're gonna grab kind of like a royal blue. You could have a little navy with it, but I would mostly have like a royal color. And we're gonna skip down just a smidge from the top of all of our jars and throw a line that droops just a tiny bit. So it kind of mirrors the top, how it like droops a little bit. I mean, you could have yours, if you wanted more stars, you could have it, you know, lower down on the jar, but. And then once you have all those, your little droopy lines, then we'll just kind of, actually before we get up next to the edges, let's just go ahead and kind of throw a little bit through the middle of those. And then we'll get up next to the edge. That way it won't mix in too much. All right, so now that we have through the middle, now let's take it like all the way to the edge. And this is where you can like throw it out just a little bit. Like if you wanted your jar to be a little bit bigger than we made it, because it's kind of like we ate away at it when we added the background. And might have to lean back and check this in a second, since when you're doing them on the sides, you're not like quite right in front of it. Which you could always like make a pattern and lay it down, and like that way you would get them all exactly perfect, but nothing that I ever paint is exactly perfect. I still need to make this one over here on the left just a little bit bigger. All right, and then once you have that, then go ahead and just kind of wipe it off, and let's rinse that one out in the water just a little bit. Or you can grab another like number 6 and dry it off. And let's grab some bright red. And now we're gonna kind of lay in our stripes. So I'm gonna start over here with this one. You might could even, sometimes I just go all in, but you could do them like a little bit different on each jar. And don't worry if you like get a little too close like I did right there, because we'll come back with the white and clean them up once it dries a little bit. Then I'll come back and clean those up. So now I'll go ahead and do some stripes over here. I'm definitely gonna have to look at these from a distance in a sec since I'm so close to it. I'm probably doing them all wonky. So we have the start of our stripes. So let's go ahead and wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's let it dry for just a second. Now, since it's a little bit more dry, let's go ahead and get a layer on our flowers, and then we'll come back and thicken up our jar and everything. So let's grab like a number 6 and dry it off. And you could do any kind of flowers, but I'm just gonna do hydrangeas because they're my fave. So I'm gonna grab like a number 6 and some bright white with a little bit of off-white. And I'm gonna do like a big bloom, or you could even make it look like 2 blooms on each one. So load your brush with a lot, and then we're just gonna be really light and kind of dab. Maybe since they won't all be exactly the same, I'll probably make this one in the middle kind of maybe look more like 2. So, and then I'll kind of have it higher in one part and then kind of lower in one part. But we'll just do that bumpy. Okay, so now we have the start of those. So then we're just gonna load our brush with a lot of paint, and we're just gonna do little dabs. So even if you're having a bad day, don't stab it, just kind of dab it. So load it with a lot of paint, and we're just gonna be really light. Kind of hitting with the side of your brush, but the trick is to have a bunch of paint. And then we'll come back and dab again here in a little bit. For right now though, when you're throwing this first layer, it's good to kind of see some of that background peeking through. And then I would even overlap into the edge of your jar a little. All right, so we have a first little layer kind of on all of our flowers. So let's go ahead and Let that dry for a minute, so just kind of wipe off your extra paint. You can use that same size brush, like a number 6, just kind of wipe it off and grab some more of the blue. So like royal, you could even have a little dark with it, and we're just gonna kind of thicken up. I'm probably just gonna start in the middle and throw just a little bit through the middle of all of them and then kind of spread it around. All right, so we kind of thickened up our blue. So let's wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's grab another, I'm trying to find a, let's just grab a number 4 and dry it off. So like a number 4 and dry it off. And now we're gonna grab a little bit of bright white, and we're just gonna hit the white stripes on our jars. And this is where you can kind of thin down your red. So if your red stripes got a little thick, this is where you can kind of thin them up a little. I might need to let it dry for another second. I think it's still a little wet. I'll just kind of hit the middle of the stripes first then, since my red seems to be a little wet still. I'm just going to throw a little paint down the middle. All right, that's a little bit better. Not quite as wonky. All right, so we have a layer in through our white. So now let's grab like a number 6 size brush again and dry it off. And we're gonna grab a little bit more of the red, but just kind of hit the middle of your stripe. So you don't have to take it all the way to the edge, but just your big stripes, kind of hit the middle just to get them thickened up. Living on the edge there. All right, now that we have them kind of thickened up through the middle, then just wipe that one off and chunk it in the water, and let's let our blue dry so that way then we can add our stars. So now, since it's a little bit more dry, let's go ahead and hit our flowers again. So I would still use some white and off-white and kind of add just a few more dabs. It's like a number 6, the white and off-white, and we're just gonna dab a little bit more. Got a little bit of dark blue in there, but that's okay. It's because I keep getting close to my blue jar. All right, so now we got a few more little bumps. They're looking like flowers, so that's a good sign. So now let's go ahead and wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's grab a teeny tiny brush, so number 1, and we're gonna grab a little bit of like white and even a little light blue, just so it doesn't get too stark white. And we're gonna throw the little threads of our jar. It's kind of right where the threads touch the jar. We're just gonna throw a little line, and I would just kind of hit it one time. You don't wanna get too heavy with this. And then above the lines, we're just gonna do a few droopy little lines. And you don't want these to go all the way left to right. They're just kind of piecey. But don't worry, if you get too heavy, we can skip back in, throw a little bit more blue in there to skinny them up. Okie dokie. So we're still gonna use like a number 1 and dry it off and grab some white. And now we're gonna do our little stars, which if you want to make a pattern for this part, or I know I do stars like different than most people, but I just kind of draw them on there. But you could draw them like however you wanted to. And then once you get one on there, just kind of throw you a thin little layer and get it filled in. But like I said, if you want to make a little star pattern, you can. And then we want to do a few like parts of stars too. So like over here, I'm going to do just like a little part of one. Maybe just like one more on this one. And I was saving that one till last because my blue's still pretty wet right there. All right, now we'll throw a few over here. And I think it's fine if your blue kind of peeks through just a little bit. It didn't have to be on there thick. Just one more over here, and I think we'll be good. That's pretty good. So let's just use that same tiny one. And now we're gonna grab a little bit of like dark gray and light gray together. And you could write whatever on your jars. If you wanted to do like USA, that would be cute too. I just love ball jars, so I'm just gonna write ball on all three because I'm crazy like that. But I'm just gonna write it on there, and then you can go back and like highlight. But I think it'd be cute to do USA too. I'm trying to do them all kind of similar. Even though in the old days, there were a few different ways that ball was written on there. So if you don't want to add the little loop-de-loop under or anything, you can make them different. But kind of get it all on there first, and then you can go back and like add some dark and light highlights to it, some glares. All right, so now I kind of have some lights and darks on all my little letters. So let's just wipe that one off and grab maybe some turquoise with the royal blue. And we can go back in through our threads. And if you needed to slim down any of those lines and make them a little less perfect, sometimes it helps to add some glares through there. But I feel like our jars are pretty good. So let's go ahead and wipe that one off, and you can grab whatever color, and I would go ahead and sign it. And then we have our ball jars. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure to check us out. We're on Cox Street in Asheboro. And be sure to check out our website, www.thepreppypossum.com.